Hi everyone, and welcome to my playthrough of Stardew Valley, where I hope to actually complete the community center this time, instead of getting distracted with other games or other tasks in the game. So the first thing I had to do was move the TV because I am so bad about checking it every day. Then I had to start working on clearing a place for all of my crops to be planted. I usually plant them over against that fence line to the right, but I decided for this gameplay I want to start them out right in front of my house, with like a little walkway going down the middle. So since I had a clear path made, now I had to actually decide where I wanted the crop areas to be. I wanted them to line up with my doorway, so I had to move them over just a little bit. So I'm looking through the menu and I'm trying to figure out how to lower like the sounds of opening the chest and stuff, because to me that is so loud and obnoxious, but I'm really not sure what button it is to lower that sound. So if anybody knows, please let me know down in the comments because I am just not sure. Since I then knew where I was going to plant all my crops, I had to go and meet my chickens. And feed them, of course. I have Chicky and Grushenka. I am also completely not coordinated. I did not mean to break down that piece of fence. I usually like to try to clean up all of the normal grass and just leave the bluegrass in here because I do believe it helps raise the animals' friendship level. Plus, I also like to actually be able to see my chickens instead of seeing a bunch of trees and the little pieces of wood and stones. Then I needed to finish gathering wood so that way I can craft a chest. I do know that it's better to chop down just the top of the tree and leave the tree stump if you're in a hurry and don't want to waste your energy, but I also don't like leaving the tree stumps on the farm. I guess it's just my OCD coming out. I like it to be clean. Next, I needed to plant this spring seed that I found. And I did a little bit more farm cleanup, and I started working on a path down to the little pond that's on the farm. Getting a path cleared down to that little pond makes it so much easier to go and get water. If you don't have any tools on you, then you know that your path is clear to get to the water. Then I decided it was time to finally craft my chest because my inventory was pretty full. Then I just put everything in the chest and I went and planted this spring seed. Since that was done, I could finally head into town and purchase some crops. I honestly didn't have any idea of how many to buy of anything. I just knew that I needed to buy at least 2 cauliflower today and 1 green bean. Next, it was time to head back to the farm and get everything planted. Now that everything was planted, I had to water them. The next thing I did was go into my inventory and rearrange all of my items. I'm honestly not sure why it even took me this long. Then I was back to cleaning up the pathway down to the pond. I could have done some more exploring around the map, but I decided to just go to sleep and end day 1. The first thing I did on day 2 was I had to water the crops. Then I guess I decided to do some more farm cleanup. I got the notification you've got some new ideas to sleep on, meaning I do believe I leveled up in foraging. And now I have a mostly clear path down to the pond so that way I can refill my watering can. I checked the mail and saw that I had a letter from Willie saying that he was back from his fishing trip. So, since I still had some energy left, I decided to throw everything that I could into one of the chests and head down to where he was so that way I can go and get my fishing rod. But I guess I needed to go and say hi to the chickens first. I've been playing Stardew Valley on and off for a few years now, and I have yet to catch the legend. And I know it's just a skill issue. I play on controller. I've never really gotten into fishing using the bobbers and the bait, so that is one of my goals for this playthrough, is to get more advanced with the fishing. Since I was able to sell some fish, I decided to go and stop by Pierre's and purchase some more crops. But then I realized I was completely out of energy. So I needed to go and run around the map to see if I could find anything to forage so that way I could refill my energy. I stopped and said hi to Linus real quick, and then I went and picked this wild horseradish. I found a daffodil. I needed to get this artifact spot, so I ate the wild horseradish. And I only got 2 stone. I found a dandelion on my way down to go and see if there were any spring onions. And I got lucky and there were some spring onions down here that I could pick. And there were even 2 down by the sewer. I like that it's purple. I do think the purple looks really neat. I went ahead and just ate the spring onions right then and there. Then I needed to go back to my farm so that way I could plant the crops and get them watered. I grabbed this wild horseradish and then I remembered I did not want to waste my energy, so I just decided to go the long way back to my farm. Now that I was back on my farm, I went to work on getting the new crops planted. Then I called it a night and ended day 2. Day 3 is always a rainy day. I woke up and I checked the fortune teller, and today is a neutral day. I went to see my chickens and pick up the eggs. I figured it would be a good idea to save the eggs because I can always eat them on my cave runs. So since I didn't have to do any watering today, I decided to do some more farm cleanup. Now that I was done doing my farm cleanup, I went and put everything back in my chest so that way I could do more fishing. I decided to go fishing up at the mountain lake. I found a leak on the way to the fishing spot. I was brave and decided to get this treasure chest. The treasure chest gave me some rice shoots and some copper ore. Once I was done fishing, I decided to head back to the farm, and then I saw Linus coming out of his little tent structure, and I decided to give him a leek. I put my items in my chest, and then I ended up selling all of my fish. I probably should have saved them until I hit fishing level 5 and then sold all my fish, but I wasn't thinking about it in this moment. I just needed quick money so that way I could buy more crops. And I didn't want to end the day while I still had energy left, so I continued to work on cleaning up the farm. I put everything away on my chest and then I went inside to end day 3. I was very surprised I was able to make 500 gold from the fish. The first thing I did on the morning of day 4 was I went and checked the TV to check the fortune teller and living off the land. Then I went outside and I was greeted by Clint, who was here to give me a blueprint to craft a furnace. After I was done talking to Clint, I needed to grab my watering can and go fill it up at the pond before I could water all of my crops. Next, I went to go and say hi to my chickens and go and collect the eggs. While checking the area behind the bus stop, I was able to find a daffodil. I need to find as many daffodils as possible so that way I can give them to Haley. I wanted to dig through the trash cans, but this character decided to walk by. I can't remember what his name is. I think that's Shane, but I can't tell what the mod I'm using, and it's been a while since I've played Stardew. The next thing I did was go into Pierre's, where I purchased some more parsnips and some potato seeds. Then I decided to say hi to Maru since she was right here. Once I was back on my farm, it was time to plant all of the parsnips and potato seeds I got at Pierre's. I almost sold my eggs, but then I remembered I wanted to save some for cave runs. So I decided to do some more fishing, so I put everything away in my chest, and then I went into town. I had to stop and talk to Haley whenever I saw her. And then I continued on my way down to the water. I don't remember which area you should be fishing when it's sunny, and I think I know you should be fishing in the mountain lake when it's raining, but I can't remember the good place for when it's sunny, so don't mind me if I'm completely fishing in the wrong area to make money. I did quickly get annoyed of this fishing spot, so I tried moving over a little, but even here, I didn't stay long. I felt that the fishing bites were too far apart, and it just felt like it was taking way too long to catch fish. So I ended up moving down to the ocean here shortly. I went and grabbed this artifact spot and got 2 stone. I decided to go sell the fish I had caught at the river, and I knew there was a way to not have to scroll through the menu to get down to where you sell the fish. And on controller, I do believe it's R1. Then I just spent some time fishing, trying to catch fish so that way I can have more money. I made it back to my farm and I put all of the items I had received in my chest and I went and sold all of my fish. Then, since I still had a little bit of energy left, I did some more cleanup around the farm. I reached level 2 fishing and level 2 foraging. I also made a little bit of money from selling fish. On day 5, I woke up and checked the fortune teller at the TV, and the spirits are somewhat annoyed today. When I went outside, I was greeted by Marnie, who had the cute little white cat I chose in the character selection. I honestly completely forgot about the cat, so I had no clue what to name the cat. So I just decided on Luna because it was the first thing that popped in my mind whenever it asked me to name the cat. But the real test is, can I remember to give the cat water every day? So I saw that I had one of the artifact spots, and I got the book Jack Be Nimble. I'm assuming it possibly helps your movement speed, but I honestly can't tell a difference. Once I was finished watering, it was time to go and see the chickens and collect the eggs. I then had to finish cleaning up the chicken area. I saw some green grass was growing and I wanted to get rid of these wood pieces. I cleaned out my inventory and then I grabbed the items that could be handed in to Gunther at the museum. I checked my mail again and I saw that I had a letter saying that the mine has been opened. But I went back inside to check the fortune teller and I saw that the spirits were mildly perturbed. I grabbed a leek from the bus stop and then continued to make my way down to the museum. Or so I thought. I was then greeted by Mayor Lewis at the community center. I honestly forgot his name for a minute. I checked the little quest board, but I really wasn't at a place to start accepting quests yet. So I went inside and decided to purchase some more seeds from Pierre. I tried to go see Haley at her house, but she was still in her room. So I decided to go and do some fishing while I waited for her to come outside. I then quickly ran after her to give her this daffodil. And then she decides to ignore me after I gave her one of her liked gifts. Once I was finished with the museum cutscene, I handed in the Nautilus shell and the disc into Gunther. I of course had to stop and go through these trash cans here in town. And I also stopped and said hi to Mayor Lewis. Then I needed to plant the crops I had purchased. I will say, I'm very surprised I haven't had any issues with the crows yet. Or if I haven't noticed. And I don't build a scarecrow at all today. I completely forgot about building a scarecrow. So I'm gonna have to make sure that I do that. Once everything was all planted, I cleaned out my inventory so that way I could go and do a cave run. I know it wasn't a good day to go to the mine, but even if I can get down 5 levels, I'll be happy with that. On my way to the mine, I picked up a wild horseradish. That I then gifted to Linus. And there I go, running right by a leak. I found my first geode. It hasn't been so bad. I mean, I guess I am completely out of energy, but I did bring eggs with me. Now that all the barrels were broken, I made my way over to the ladder and ate some eggs before heading down to level 4. And I found this ladder pretty easily. I just needed to collect all of the copper ore first. And now I had made it to level 5. After dealing with this crab, I decided to check the rest of this floor and go and break all of these barrels. But I didn't really have the energy to go any further down in the mine, and I was out of food, so I just called it a night. I did find this red shirt, so I wanted to see what it looked like. And red is not my color, so I quickly took it back off. I grabbed the leek on the way out of the mine back to the farm. And since I still had a little bit of energy left, I decided to clean up this area right here. I put all my items from the cave trip in my chest, and then I decided that since this chest was full, I needed to craft another one so that way I could have all of my mining stuff in a separate chest because I needed more storage. I ended up making a chest that I could put inside, so that way I could put, I don't know, any other weapons and stuff in there. Then it was time to go to sleep for the night and end day 5. I reached level 1 farming and level 1 mining. I woke up to a rainy day, and the fortune teller said that the spirits would be mildly perturbed today. I received a letter in the mail from the wizard that I completely forgot about for today. I went ahead and did some more organization. I took out the red shirt and the rusty sword so that way I could go put those things in the house. I went ahead and picked my parsnips. I picked up this grass and mixed seed, and then I went back and planted it real quick. And then I went and said hi to my chickens and collected the eggs. I came back to the farm to grab the dried starfish. And then I remembered I needed to grab a daffodil to give to Haley. I made my way down to the museum to turn in the dried starfish. Then it was time to go and try to see Haley. And she was still in bed. I don't remember everybody's schedule yet, but I know Haley does not like to go outside in the rain. So I kind of just wandered around the town for a little bit, waiting to see when Haley would leave her room. I ended up going into Pierre's and purchasing some more seeds. Then I went back to Haley's house to see if she was out of her room yet. And she was still in her room. I sat here for way too long waiting for Haley. But she did finally decide to leave her room. So now I know on rainy days she doesn't leave her room until noon. I went through this trash can before making my way up to the mine. I do like this wooden club that I got. This will be really helpful for these early levels. I got lucky on this floor and there was already a ladder, but I wanted to get this quartz that was over here first. But I had to decide what I was going to throw away first. This floor had a good amount of copper ore as well as a earth crystal. I used the cherry bomb to break up this node, and I got a topaz. I reached level 10, but I didn't end up grabbing the boots on this cave run. I stopped to give Linus a parsnip, but I had already given him 2 gifts for the week. Since my inventory was full, I couldn't grab the wild horseradish, so I had to go right by it. After putting everything away in the chests, I remembered I needed to finish planting the parsnip seeds that were in my inventory. I still had some energy left, so I did some more work cleaning up the farm. Then I went inside to get some sleep. On day 7, I woke up and checked the TV, and the fortune teller says the spirits are going to be in good humor today. And I learned how to make stir fry. I went outside and I needed to water all of my crops. I did some more farm cleanup. And then I needed to plant this mixed seed, and that is not where I wanted it planted. I said hi to my chickens and collected the eggs. I then cleaned up my inventory and made sure I had some eggs because I knew that I wanted to try to get down at least 5 more levels in the mine. I said hi to Linus, who told me that somebody was throwing rocks at his tent last night. So when I picked up this leek, I remembered I haven't handed in anything to the community center yet. So I needed to go and grab the other items to donate to the community center. When I went in to donate them is when I remembered I haven't gone to see the wizard yet. So I needed to go and do that real quick. I realized that I only had one daffodil on me, so I wasn't able to give it to Haley right now. I completed the spring foraging bundle and was given spring seeds. I stopped and said hi to Caroline, who told me she's just going to relax and think positively. I had to run back to my farm so I could get a daffodil to give to Haley. Now that I had given her her gift, I could head back up to the mines. I finally collected the leather boots. I wanted to collect all of the copper ore on this level before I went to the ladder. I grabbed this quartz. I began to get really nervous on this floor because it was floor 19 and it was 12:30 a.m. and I needed to start heading back to my farm by 1 o'clock. So I ate some eggs real quick and continued hitting the stones trying to find a ladder. I got very lucky and I found the ladder and I made it to floor 20. And I couldn't even get the chest. I just had to rush back to the farm. And I made it to my bed at 1:50 a.m. So if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video.